Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, it's Beat the Giants week. What we did last week was good, but you got to have a short memory with wins and losses. So let's get it, brother.
See, to me, man, it's not beat the Giants. It's let's get payback, right? We tied one game last year and we lost the other game last year. And we got screwed by the refs. And I'm never one of those fans that blames the refs for losses, but Curtis Samuel got mugged in the end zone. I mean, the guy was checking his oil. I mean, it was bad, man.
Yeah.
So, we got sabotaged. So we got to go back up there. And we won by 8 points this last week because the Falcons coach is an idiot. But Dable, guy knows what he's doing. Their record might not show it, but he knows what he's doing. So we can't leave this thing to chance, man. But before we jump into it, Mike, you're a week late, bro. Don't Sleep Energy. The guys came out. Did you see this? It's their red berry shot, like those little tiny 5-hour energies. Oh, dude, I could have used one of those come Sunday morning. I don't know about you when we were down in Atlanta.
You definitely could have, because that Atlanta airport, I don't care what time your flight is, you better be there 3 hours early. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. So I was up at the crack of dawn, and I could have used the red for myself, man. I need that, Mike. Matter of fact, Mike, I'm going to need it headed up to New York. So holler at us, hook us up. As you can see, they also have some good merch. This hat. Have you seen the hoodies that they have?
Dude, that hoodie looks warm. And it was cold in Atlanta. I mean, I almost felt like we were back up in D.C.
Come on.
My people are from the islands.
I had on shorts. Come on,
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's just, I'm from the islands naturally. So, I just don't do well in that colder weather. So I saw that hoodie. It looks nice. And you're going up to New York this weekend with a bunch of our other listeners and, a bunch of Commanders fans. So if you guys are looking, you got to grab this 12-pack shot. They've got it on the website, don'tsleepenergy.com. Don't forget to use promo code DMV Mess Hall. You'll get, I think it's 12% off that thing, something nice. But it's on every order. And I was thinking last week, I wanted to bring Don't Sleeps with me, but I didn't want to check a bag. And you can't bring those cans through the airport in your travel carry-on. These things are perfect. So any of our listeners that are flying to the game, you can grab these things and then put them in your carry-on. So that way you don't got to worry about getting to the game, because I don't know about you, Rally. I don't know what you did Saturday night after the rally, but I was out till about 2:30 in the morning, just partying it up and just having a good time, because I didn't realize that Atlanta knew about that go-go.
Oh, yeah. Paint the town red, huh?
I got up at 6:30. So it was maybe 3 and some change. So I was dragging ass at the tailgate until I got a couple drinks in me, but I definitely could have used a Don't Sleep once I got up game day.
No, definitely, man. Definitely. Well, I'll say this, and I said it on the last pod, I definitely had some when we got back because I needed it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can hook you up with some, and our listeners actually can go to don'tsleepenergy.com, grab some, because be nice, whether you're driving up there, whether you're flying, you're taking the train, however you're getting up there. And for the other away games we got, I mean, we got a couple West Coast trips going out to Seattle. I'm sure that would definitely help some people out on that plane ride. So on top of that, it's cold and rainy in Seattle. So grab that hoodie, keep yourself dry, because I don't want to mess my hair up. I just got a little cut. So we'll be all right.
Yeah. Seattle, get ready.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting. So, and speaking of which, man, our show last, Monday, a couple fans decided to chime in, and hey, we appreciate you guys listening. I know you're listening because you guys cursed me out a couple of times on social media saying we expect to win. Back in the day, and this is where I'll just stop. Guys, this isn't back in the day. We're not the Washington team from the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? We'll get there, but we're not there yet. It's going to take some time. And one of our other listeners actually chimed in and replied back to me. And I told him it's probably going to take a good 3 or 4 years for the Harris group to get this thing ready, because we're paying for the sins of bad drafts. And the guy's sitting here saying, no, we've got a good class. We've got a good group of people now. I'm like, dude, I hear you. But realistically, players come and go off of these teams. You're restarting. You're going to have to get a new GM in here. You're going to have to get a new coach in here. And it was a debate on B. Mitch and Finley about, is Sam Howell the guy, or can he be the guy, or are these sacks, something that he's not going to be able to get over? And I hear fans that are talking about that. For me, it's not even about Sam. It's, will the new people that come in want to actually keep him, or will they want to start over and pick their own guy? Is he going to get a fair shot with the new people? And if he doesn't show that he can improve, really, that's all that matters. So I don't know. Are you concerned about how many he's taking and how frequent it seems to be?
Obviously, yes, and yes. Um, and I'm not sure at this point if you can coach it out of him. You would think that after a couple hits, you'd realize it's no different than touching that hot stove. It's hot now. So you would think that, hey, I want to get rid of this ball early, figure out a way to get rid of it early. And that, for whatever reason, that internal clock is just still not going off. But his bell is getting rung, though. That's for sure.
It definitely is. And he got blindsided this past week. And I think it was Grant Paulson on his show had a guy that used to be on Pro Football Focus come on and talk about it. And I don't agree with this guy, but he basically said Sam Howell is a backup in the NFL. Sam's not a starter. And I don't agree with him at all. I think Sam can definitely be a starter. I think he needs to be in the proper situation. And he was going over stats that Sam had these sack issues in college. And this was a major knock on him coming into the pros, and could have been why he dropped down to a 5th round pick, because, every Washington fan loves to talk about how Sam was projected to be in the 1st round.
The 1st round, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, I'm sure my stats when I was a baby, I was in the top percentile, but you feed me rice every day because I'm Asian. Hey, those stats drop. Yeah, for him, he takes all those sacks in college. I mean, he drops down to the 5th.
Yeah. Well, they were also saying that the reason why he dropped is because his receiving core pretty much left him when he was a junior. So now that he's a senior, he had no familiarity with anyone. So that's why he had to get a lot done with his legs, which still surprises me that he doesn't do more with his legs. And I've just checked out and said the team doesn't want him to, or at least not right now. They don't. Maybe when these games really count, like playoff contention type of counts, if you know what I mean, maybe they might pull a rabbit out of the hat. But I was actually surprised to see him do the read option in Atlanta, and he got the 1st down and slid. I mean, immediately got down, which I'm happy that he did to move the chains. But I don't think the team really wants him to run, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. And what kills me is, well, actually, part of me wonders, remember how Heineke basically kind of, for lack of a better analogy, neutered himself and stopped running last year he was here?
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if he told Howell to do the same thing. Like, this is your job unless you get hurt. And even though you can use your legs, play smart and don't do what I did earlier on and just kind of ran all over like there was no tomorrow, because you have a tomorrow in this league. And you saw, I'm assuming, on the Commanders' Twitter, Heineke and Howell exchanging jerseys on the field. Yeah. And I just wonder if that has something to do with it. And Sam's thinking, oh, yeah, you know what? I think Taylor's right. Even though I can run and I did in college, it's a different league out here in the NFL. These boys are a lot bigger, and I'd rather make my money using my arm than using my legs.
Oh, it kind of reminds me of Smokey and the Bandit, Sheriff Bupati Justice. He said, you can think about it, but don't do it. So maybe that's what it is about him. But I would think, in all honesty, man, and if it was me and I had some 300-pound linemen running after me, if my legs are one of my best assets, I got to use it to get out of harm's way and not back out of the play, try to figure out a way to get out of there with my feet, or just throw it away. I mean, you got to do it.
Yeah, you do. And the just throwing it away part, he's been talking about how he needs to find the incompletion and search for it. And sometimes it's not that easy, especially when he's turning around in the pocket and not even looking down the field anymore because he's spinning into pressure. And it's
That's how he got
little,
nailed.
yeah, that's exactly how he got nailed. He turned around and he looked lost. He looked like he was panicking. And that's the part where I'm shocked he's been able to hold on to these balls, because it's just a matter of time before one gets knocked out, you would think. And
like the first week.
Yeah. And it's killing me on my FanDuel season-long bet, because I bet he was going to have over, I think, 5 rushing touchdowns. Other than week 1, he hasn't actually run one in, man. And I'm kind of annoyed at that, because we're getting a little close. So,
well, the good thing is we continue to win. What did you get in? 6.5 wins?
6.5.
6.5 wins. So we need 7 wins, brother. So we're close to being halfway there. You know,
we're getting there. We're getting there, and
one step at a time.
Hopefully this week against the Giants, I feel like some of our fans are counting this game as a dub, regardless of what's going on, just because the Giants are 1-5.
No.
They don't look good right now. You don't know who's going to be quarterback. But from an NFL power ranking perspective, they were 31st last week. They stood toe-to-toe with the Bills. Did you watch that Bills game? Get a chance to actually see it?
No.
So in the first half, going into halftime, they got the ball down to the 2-yard, actually down to the goal line. They called a pass interference penalty on Buffalo. So the Giants have the ball at the 1 with 14 seconds left. No timeouts. What do you think they do? Run or pass?
Run.
They ran the ball, got stuffed, and couldn't get back up to the line of scrimmage to call another play. Boom, go right to halftime. So, end of the game, fourth quarter, driving down the field. Tyrod's taking them down. They get another pass interference in the end zone. No time left on the clock. The game can't end on a defensive penalty. So they're on the 1-yard line.
1-yard line.
You think they call a run or a pass?
Well, since they ran it and got stuffed, they probably tried to pass it.
They threw a pass this time. Tyrod threw it high. And next thing you know, game over, incomplete, and the Bills walked out of there. And a lot of people are talking about the fact that they had a chance to beat the Bills, but it's kind of context. No one's talking about the fact that the Bills just came back from London, and they just got stomped up in London. The NFL gave the Bills a chance to take their bye week after that London game. They elected not to. The Bills said, no, we got the Giants. We're good. We don't need a bye week.
That's a slap in the face.
I don't know if they exactly said we got the Giants, but basically they said, no, we don't need the bye week, because most teams that are, they're kind of like playoff contention, they want that later bye. They don't want that early bye. And I guess they basically got a bye because they got to face the Giants the next week on Sunday Night Football and walked away with that dub. But considering where they were, 31st, where do you think they are now in the NFL power rankings?
The Giants?
Yeah.
Well, they lost, so I'll say 32.
So close, man. So close.
They went down?
No, they stayed at 31. So,
well, see, I don't understand that then. Maybe
the Panthers are still winless.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think they're going to drop down below the Panthers. But what it says here, has the team ever lost a game like the Giants did Sunday, finishing both halves at the 1-yard line? Between the pre-halftime fiasco and end-game letdown, this was the cruelest way to squander Big Blue's best defensive performance in recent memory. For 3 quarters, New York kept Josh Allen off the board, held Buffalo to fewer than 150 yards. Brian Daboll seemed to expect even more from that unit when he kicked the field goal on 4th and 1 from Buffalo's 11-yard line early in the 4th, all but wasting a great Saquon drive. Tyrod Taylor did a lot of good things, but his pre-halftime clock error cost the Giants 3 points. Daboll opted not to go for 4 more on that 4th quarter field goal, and Darren Waller could have had 6 on the final play. The Giants lost by 5. So, yes, they lost by 5, but once again, it was a Bills team that was coming back internationally, and to me, they would have lost by more if the Bills were actually the Bills.
they had the proper rests that they needed. Uh, man, I'll tell you, and I'll tell our listeners the same thing that I tell people that ask me this face to face. The fact of the matter is, the same way that we were looking past Chicago, you can't look past the Giants. First off, no matter who's at quarterback, they've always had our number. They always play us tough. Always. Just the way this is an NFC East matchup. Don't look past them. Matter of fact, you might want to say this could be one of the hardest fought games that we've played because they want to win and beat the NFC East rivalry. Come on, guys. Don't do that to yourselves.
Well, I'd say, I mean, just talking about NFC East, other than the Jets game that the Eagles lost, I'd say we played them the toughest that, they've actually faced so far, just because we see them all the time. So the Giants' one win was week 2 against the Cardinals, 31-28. So they eked past them. They got demolished week 1 against the Cowboys, 40-0. Then they played the 49ers. They lost 30-12 out in San Fran. And then the Seahawks ran all over them, 24-3. And then the Dolphins crushed them 31-16. So they've faced a tough schedule so far. I mean, Dallas, Niners, Seahawks, Dolphins, Bills. That's a rough schedule to start the season, man. If we had to start the season going against those guys, I wonder what our record would be.
I totally agree. And that's why I say, with them playing against us, with our sometimey porous offensive line and porous defensive line, don't be surprised if this is a close game and it's a nail biter.
Yeah, division games typically are, other than obviously I just mentioned that the Cowboys kicked their ass 40-0, but we don't know who's going to play. And our boys from Rep the District actually put this tweet out here. I got to pull this thing up. It was actually kind of funny. Made me laugh when I saw it. He basically said that Daniel Jones owns Washington some of a signing bonus. Daniel Jones versus the rest of the NFL, 17-35. Daniel Jones versus us, 5-1-1. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We also don't know
lighten us up
if Daniel's going to play or not. So on the injury report this week, he was listed as neck limited. He's able to throw. They're concerned if he takes a hit, is that hit going to be one too many?
Yeah, last thing you want to do is mess around with that whole neck, vertebrae, spine aspect of things. You don't want to do that.
Well, this is actually what Ron said about having to prepare for which quarterback's going to be in there.
Coach, going into Sunday's game against the Giants, it's still unclear whether Daniel Jones will play. The question is, do you prepare differently, whether it's Tyrod Taylor or whether it's Daniel Jones playing on Sunday?
Well, you do pay attention and respect who they're going to, who's playing first and foremost. I mean, they're both very qualified quarterbacks, but you also prepare for what they do and how they do it. I mean, in our minds, we always expect to see their best. And so we're going to prepare for what they do the best. And for each one of the quarterbacks, it's I don't know if it's that much more different. You know what I'm saying? Because Tyrod's such a veteran guy. I think he could adapt to anything that their coach wants to do. Whereas with Daniel, they're gonna do the best they can and prepare him the best they can. And so we'll be ready for both of them, either one.
Tyrod's been in this league for quite some time now. I mean, he got drafted in 2011, so he is a solid vet. He was with the Giants last year, so he knows Daboll's system, what he wants him to do. Looking at his PFF grade last week, looks like he got a 74.3 in passing.
Not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. So, what's going on with the Giants? They're banged up. We're banged up too. But the Giants have 4 offensive linemen on the injury report today that did not practice. They had 2 other offensive linemen that were limited. They signed a guy literally off his couch before the game last week. So all of that, you would think that means our defensive line should eat on Sunday. But you would think earlier that, I mean, how many times have we heard that before?
Yeah.
Which is kind of stacking up.
I don't want to hear it because what will happen is we'll make that whole team look like they deserve gold jackets, and I just can't do it anymore. So I refuse to fall into that trap, man. I just refuse. The losses that we've had against these guys is still in the forefront of my mind, so I can't look past them. I'll only look past them when the clock strikes zero Sunday.
I agree with you. It reminds me of a time when we played Seattle, and I don't remember who our quarterback was, but I was in Mexico hanging out on vacation. I never traveled during football season just because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch my team. But we had booked a trip, couldn't get out of it. I'm in Seattle, and one of my coworkers is there with me, and it's like, oh, I think Kirk was introducing himself to our offensive lineman in the locker room in Seattle. So he bet me.
2017, I think.
Yeah, I
2016.
think so. Right
Yeah.
around there. That sounds about right. He bet me basically a dinner at this steakhouse that they were going to crush us. And we ended up winning that game. And
Yeah.
literally, Kurt just met his lineman that day. So,
Yeah.
it's, you never know what's going to happen. And these guys, yes, they're professionals. They're in the league, even though they're not there. I guess from an offensive lineman perspective, I'm blocking the guy that's in front of me. It's not like a wide receiver where I've got to figure out route trees and all this other stuff and everything else. I almost think it'd be a little bit easier if I'm coming in off the street and being able to do that. But it's going to be, I think you're right. I think it's going to be a close game, a tougher game. But once again, like Raleigh said last week, a win's a win, man. What does it matter in the end? This isn't fantasy football where you're tying your buddies and it comes down to a tiebreaker with a point differential. And yes, I understand that does happen in the NFL, but let's be realistic here. When does it ever come down to that?
Yeah. And we just have not played. We still are looking for our identity. We have not played the way that we feel we should be playing. And this game isn't going to be any different. It's going to be a little chilly. Go ahead.
When you say we feel as fans, they should be playing. Yeah.
Yes, on paper, we should obliterate these guys, but we know paper doesn't play the game. So it just looks like we should beat the brakes off these guys, but it's the Giants. We never do. We never do. So dial it down a little bit, dial it back, and let's see how the chips fall when the clock strikes zero, guys.
That's all that matters. Let it strike zero, and we just need to have more points than they do.
Give me one. Give me one.
Yeah, give me one. That's fine with me.
Yep.
So let's walk out of the Meadowlands with a win this time. And actually, the last time we lost on the road in New York was 2020. I was kind of surprised to hear that. And it's, a nice thing to see that Rivera has had success up there in the Meadowlands. So we got a chance. But back to the power rankings, we were 26th last week. We beat up on the Falcons, even though it wasn't by what some fans thought it should be. Where do you think we are now? Did we drop or did we go the other way?
Well, I think that we dropped, but as far as by how many, now I think that had we, so to our fans listening, if we blew the Falcons out the way that you want us to blow the Giants out, I'd say we dropped 8 points. But because it wasn't a win that we really needed, it was a defensive win versus an offensive win. I say we moved maybe 2 points, 2 to 3 points max. So I'd say you said we were 26?
26, yeah.
I'll say we're 24.
There you go, man. So we actually
I got it right.
You got it right. You got it
Okay.
right. We're going to have to give you like a margin of like 2 to 3, just to be fair, because it's kind of tough depending. This is also subjective, but it says here, this was a hidden yards victory in Atlanta, if there ever was one. Jamison Crowder's 61-yard punt return tilted the game back in Washington's favor early, setting up a Commanders touchdown. That put them ahead for good. Kendall Fuller's pick and 23-yard return stunted the Falcons' momentum 2 minutes into the second half. Washington also stymied Atlanta twice on fourth down, grabbed a red zone interception, and stopped a late 2-point attempt. The defense picked off Desmond Ridder 3 times and consistently gave the offense great field position. It was just strong. complimentary football for 4 quarters, and a massive departure from the egg the Commanders laid against the Bears in Week 5. But please, can we keep Sam Howell from getting hit so much?
They had to add that. they had to add that. You know what? So, dude, I'm telling you, there's a lot of this that is on Sam. I don't understand what's going on mentally, why he can't feel it or get rid of it. I just don't understand it. And I'm afraid, like you said, if the new people come in, and I'm not trying to jumpstart next year already, but I'm just keeping it in context. If and when the new people come in, they may not like what they see about that.
Yeah.
And he may not be their guy. I want him to stick around because I honestly think that he's a good guy if he could get rid of that nasty habit.
I think he has everything a starting quarterback needs in this NFL, except the pocket awareness. And EB from the Junkies talks about it a couple times and saying, the guy ran past you. Where do you think he's going to be? He's going to be behind you. You got to get rid of that damn ball. And a couple times he just didn't do it. And I don't understand what's going on in his head. And I advise everybody, if you get a chance, sign up for NFL Plus. Riley and I don't get a cut on any of this, but it's something that's very handy because you see the play from different angles. If you guys watched our YouTube feed, I put the actual angle from the end zone of Jamison Crowder's touchdown on our YouTube feed and for Brian Robinson's touchdown. It's completely different. It's an end zone overhead view, and you get to see what's happening because some of this is a coverage sack in regards to Sam getting hit. Some of these, Sam's just not feeling the pressure, but you get a better look at it. On TV, you're really missing out on what's happening and who you can really blame. So the fans are naturally blaming Sam or this and that. It's really hard to tell unless you get a chance to look at that feed or unless you're at the stadium. And no offense to your front row view, but to me, you got to be at the stadium probably, and I'm saying FedEx, probably in the club level to really see a view like that, to see if it's a coverage sack or was it Sam's fault or was it the O-line's fault?
Well, I take offense to that. No, I'm playing.
But you do have a nice seat, man. You do have a nice seat.
Yeah, the action opens and closes right there in front of you at a blink of an eye, man. And if you're not on your P's and Q's, you will definitely miss it.
I mean, the good news is, in regards to turnover-worthy plays, Sam has had only 8 on turnover-worthy throws. So he's making smart decisions with the ball.
Definitely.
The problem is his sack rate. And I think JP Finley talked about this on his podcast, Beltway Football Pod. Roughly 80% of drives that have a sack end up with no points.
One sack.
Just a sack.
Huh.
Roughly 80% of them. So just noodle that.
Wow.
He's had 34 sacks. So imagine how many drives really it just kind of knocked us out. And I could think of one last week where we're moving the ball down the field. And next thing you know, boom, it's 2nd and 17. And it's just a snowball. And the only quarterback we've had where I felt that we could overcome something like that, I hate to say it, but was 2012 with RG3.
RG.
Because he used his legs. Sam isn't using his legs and doesn't have Robert's speed. I mean, he's not a track star to really just make defensive players look like a fool. Basically, Michael Vick just in Madden back in the day, just spinning around people. That was Robert. But because Sam doesn't have that, if we get behind the sticks, it's hard for us to come back.
Yeah. Although Eric Bieniemy has been calling great pass plays. I mean, when you look at the route tree, those guys are, if they can get open, it's there. That's the issue as well. They've been sticking to us like glue, but Scary Terry was able to get open last week. I mean, how many targets did he have? Like 9 or 10 or something like that. So it can be done, and just got to put some more into it.
Yeah. Terry had 11 targets last week, caught 6 balls. But, I mean, he had 81 yards. I mean, Terry does well down Atlanta. A lot of people are just wondering what's going on with Jahan. Jahan had 1 target last week, and that ball, I want to say, was catchable, and he missed it. And Jahan did well, and this is actually from Nikki Javala. She wrote an article on it. Jahan Dotson has received 15.5% of the team's targets, up from 11.5% last season. In games played, his target share is pretty much similar, 15.5% this season versus 15.9% last season. The big difference, he's had only one explosive catch in 6 games this season, whereas last season he averaged more than one a game. So I don't know if it's a sophomore slump. I don't know what's going on with Jahan. If on that route tree in Bieniemy's system, he's just further down that tree in regards to Sam's options. But having him there, or is he just not getting the separation that he needs? I'm kind of curious what Pro Football Focus says now in regards to Jahan Dotson, but he has just disappeared. Everyone thought it was easy money. I think his preseason numbers were 600 yards. I'm thinking take the over. You know, that'll be easily a win right there. But no, Jahan hasn't done anything.
We still have a lot of football left to play, and I think that it's going to take Coach Bieniemy to scheme it up a little bit better, because I did hear Sam say, hey, they're just doing different coverages. So obviously the word is out about Jahan. I mean, I think it's one of those things where they know that Terry is going to get his touches, but this is the guy that killed us or killed people last year, and we don't want to be that guy to get killed by this kid. So we know Terry's gonna get his. We'll allow him to just don't get behind us. But this kid, no, we don't want him to get anything. And it's probably showing that. And I haven't really looked at the film that much, but I know that that's what one of the things that Sam was saying, that, you know, when the play is called, it's just not to him. So maybe he's that second or third receiver that he's not getting to.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of Sam, in essence, being a rookie. I understand he was here last year, but he's starting for the first time now. And I don't know how fast he's going through his routes, his options. And this is where I miss Chris Cooley doing his film breakdown, because Chris knew the offense and where receivers were in that offense and what was going on. Scott Turner's system versus Eric Bieniemy's system. But he's had just a couple of bad drops that, to me, are adding up too much. And I'm not saying that Sam's not going to him because of that, because after that drop he had against the Eagles, he went back to Jahan, obviously, for that game-tying touchdown. So it has nothing to do with that. The young man is just, he's disappeared, man. It's like, where's Waldo? What happened to Jahan? He's just not there. And I think we're going to need him against New York. Really, we're going to need him this season.
Yeah.
So it would just be nice to hopefully get a sighting. But other players we're going to need this weekend, man, we got a lot of people on this injury report. So
how many people do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 people, and it's only Wednesday. So some of
DNPs?
this, Kendall Fuller, a knee DNP. That's worrisome, because our secondary's already banged up, and K. Full had that nice pick last week. Chris Rodriguez, shoulder DNP. Okay, not as concerned about that. John Allen, knee, limited. Cam Curl, ankle, limited. So those two guys, to me, crucial. To me, Cam, I'm concerned more than John, because our defensive line's got depth. Our secondary really doesn't right now. James Smith-Williams, banged up with a foot. He was limited. Montez Sweat, finger, limited. Good news is Deron Payne's not showing up on here, but Sam Cosme did, but he actually was a full participant.
Okay.
So once again, it's only Wednesday. Things are going to change, but the DNP for Fuller, it worries me.
Well, hopefully it's not that serious. It could just be a veteran type of day. You know what I mean? Hey, coach, it's bothering me, but at the same time, if you needed me to go, I could go. But if I can take the day off, I greatly appreciate it. That's what I'm hoping that it is.
I'm hoping you're right too.
We know that they do that they give a vet more time off for little bugs and knickknacks.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, shoot, Trent Williams, I feel like never practiced or did anything at that point. When Ludden Fletcher was getting towards the end, I don't think he ever did anything either. But we talked about how we're always that get right team that other teams love playing. Well, when's the last time you think the Giants scored an actual touchdown? How many games do you think it's been? How many quarters? But how many quarters do you think it's been?
Probably 6.
All right, I'm going to let you take another guess.
Damn, you got the music playing and everything, huh? 4 quarters.
Is that your final answer? You want to phone a friend?
Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Hey, Ted, what's up, bro? Give me a lifeline here. How many quarters has it been since the Giants have scored?
13 and a half quarters since they've scored a touchdown.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
220 minutes.
That's bad, bro. But see,
they haven't scored since week 3.
You know what? See, don't give me those type of stats because it means nothing when you play against us. And this is why our fan base is the way that we are. Those type of stats are the reason why we say we should obliterate these guys. And then when they come back, and I'm not trying to speak anything into existence, but when they come back and do something naughty to us, we're all like, what? I can't believe that happened. Well, it's because you look past them. And I'm hoping that the coach isn't telling the players these stats, because a lot of times, you know as well as I do, it's human nature to look past them because they haven't scored in all those 13 quarters. Come
220 minutes. In case you wanted to break it, I haven't broken it down to seconds, but 220 minutes.
How does this feel? A team hasn't won in 365 days.
I think it was 343 days.
Okay, yeah. How does that feel?
Yeah, no, that sucks. That's what I'm saying, man. It's just
don't tell me these stats.
So we talked about the do your job sign. You said don't be that guy instead of do your job. To me, Rivera needs to put up a sign that says don't be that team. Don't be that team that let the Bears get their first win in 343 games.
Yeah.
Don't be that team that let the Giants get their first touchdown in 220 minutes. Don't be that team that let Daniel Jones all of a sudden come back from a major neck injury to crush you because he's your kryptonite for some reason. So you can't sleep on it from a fan perspective. To me, I need the players not to sleep on it too, because you're kind of thinking, well, the Giants, their pass offense is 31st in the league, right? Their total offense is 31st. Or passing offense, they're averaging 166 yards in the air, right? And Saquon's been hurt, but they're only averaging 98 yards on the ground, which is 21st. So you're hearing all these things because you know the coaches are talking to them about it. But to me, all of that goes out the window when it's a division game. Yeah. None of those stats matter. All that matters is they know you and what you like to do. You know them and what they like to do. And it doesn't go back to like backyard football, but to a certain degree, you throw all that stuff out the window because you game plan all you want, but you know each other's tendencies. Just like do you play poker?
No.
So I used to. I stopped because I don't got anyone around me that actually want. So listeners, hit me up. But I've got some guys that I played a home game with.
Okay.
You knew your boys on how they bet and their tells and different things they do because you play against them so much. To me, that's the exact same thing with these division games where we know each other and what's going on. And all these numbers, and I don't want to say you're right in regards to the media kind of hyping the fans up, but I obviously got these numbers from listening to the radio and listening to people talk about it. So fans are thinking, man, we're going to crush them this week. We're going to do this. I think we're 2-point favorites, right? So
I don't want to hear that either.
But obviously something should kind of counterbalance that. If they have sucked this bad, you would think that we would be higher point favorites if this game was such a cakewalk in regards to Vegas and betting and everything else. So it's
all I can say is
300.
All I can say is 340 days or 345 days or whatever it was that the Bears hadn't won. That's what I'm going to say. That grounds me right there. I don't care about those stats. That stat grounds me to say, throw all that stuff out the window. Just play the damn game to the best of your ability. That's what I want to see. Those stats, man. Oh my gosh, dude, you read these stats off and you say to yourself, we should just blow the doors off these dudes. And when it doesn't happen, then we're looking like clowns.
We are, and you have to think we can't count on another 3 turnover game. We can't count on, Danny Dimes to be like how he plays against the rest of the league or Tyrod. And the problem is, who would you rather face, Tyrod or Daniel Jones?
I would probably, since he's banged up, Daniel Jones, because I don't think that he will take the chances that he would normally take if he wasn't banged up. But since he is, if he wasn't, then I'd say Tyrod, definitely.
So because I agree with you.
We beat Tyrod before.
Yeah, we have. And I would rather play Daniel for that fact, because I feel that he's going to take something out of his game, because he can't really, or not that he can't, but he shouldn't really take those hits. Mm-hmm. And he might neuter himself like Heineke used to. So maybe it won't be the Daniel that beat us those 5 times. Maybe it'll be the Daniel that, played against us when he had that one loss. So we'll see how it goes. But Saquon's back. So it's not just Daniel we got to worry about. Saquon had been out for quite some time. So he's now back. So to me, he's got fresh legs. And I think they're going to get a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley. And we sold out last week to stop Bijan Robinson. There are some videos going around where we had 9 guys in the box because we did not respect Desmond Ridder. So they just said, screw it. We're putting 9 guys in here. And if Ridder wants to try and hit us over the top, then let's see what's up. But you cannot do that against the Giants.
No. Like I said, when the game's over, those guys will be wearing gold jackets, and we can't have another repeat performance like that.
Tyrod has an arm. He will hit us over the top. Same thing with Jones, obviously. Mm-hmm. So Tyrod only had 200 yards last week, but he can still throw that ball, sling that rock. Saquon had 24 carries for 93 yards. So we've got to stop Saquon. And the Commanders have done a good job against Saquon Barkley. He has not killed us. Yeah, so they bottled him up. But don't let this be that time. Don't be that team that all of a sudden you guys forgot what you did to stop Saquon. I'm trying to see up Saquon's stats against us the past couple of years. But it'll be interesting to see. For you, what are your keys to leave in MetLife with a win?
I was going to say, have Tyrod beat you with his legs and not his arm. That's what I'm going to say about that. Collapse that pocket and have him beat you with the legs, because, as you said, he's got an arm and he's pretty accurate as well. I don't think he has the wheels that he used to have. I mean, he's got enough to get out of situations, but you don't want him to doggone open it up with the legs. So have him beat you with his arm. The other thing is, give the guys – I think they did a great job of substituting last week. Those guys are going to need a blow. So get those guys out. And Sam, if it's not there, brother, throw it away or run it. Even if it's just a 1-yard gain and you got to get down and slide, do that, because they're coming and they know that we're porous. Or I shouldn't say we're porous. I'm going to say they know that maybe it's, as you said, Ted, maybe it's a panic thing and he just freezes up. But whatever it is, teams know it and they're going to try to exploit it.
Yeah, you're right. The Giants know that Sam's got a problem, and we had an issue last year blocking for him. What was it? Was it Thibodeau against us last year?
Thibodeau. I mean, he had a number.
Yeah, and a lot of fans are talking about just put Cornelius Lucas in. I'm just going to say this once: the NFL is a business, right? They are not going to put Andrew Wiley on the bench and put Cornelius Lucas in unless Wiley gets hurt. They signed him to a deal, And at that point, it makes them look like a fool. And the best player does not play in the NFL. It just doesn't work that way. Coaches have affinity for people they drafted, for people they brought to the team. And it's the crappy part of our sport, but it's unfortunately a part of this game. And we don't know if Leno's going to be back this week. Not sure. They need to take all the time they need to get through what they're going through. Not going to rehash it again. So our offensive line has got to step up and give Sam some time, because last year that Giant defensive line did what they needed to do to knock Taylor off his game, and they got a couple sacks in crunch time that just killed us.
That killed us. So I got a question for you, Ted. Do you think that we'll see Forbes this game?
I think we do. I don't think you can sit that young man for 2 games in a row. I don't think he deserves to be sat for 2 games in a row. And I think you'll do more harm than good just mentally if you don't let him touch that field, because your secondary's banged up. Fuller's banged up. He was a DNP today. Cam Curl's got an issue. Not that he's going to play safety, but you need him. And a lot of fans don't realize your 53-man roster is not active on game day. You are down from 53. I can't remember the exact number, but you don't get to dress all 53 of your guys. So if Forbes is there and they need him, he should get reps. The problem with Forbes is not, it's been coverage, yes, but it's also been his tackling. And hopefully he steps up if he does get a shot and doesn't just get run over. But I do think he's going to get some snaps. I was shocked and kind of angry that they didn't give him a chance, because sitting on the field pregame and just watching him, he looked like he really was ready and wanted to be in there. But the coach wanted to teach him a lesson.
Well, they taught it to him. And obviously, as I told you, I saw him on the field. So he did get to see the field when somebody else got a pick. He was in the end zone.
I looked up the rule. You are allowed to go down there and go celebrate with your team. You can't do it if you're not dressed. So guys that aren't dressed aren't allowed to go down there.
Gotcha.
But for those of our listeners that didn't listen to the postgame show, Rally asked, Forbes touched the field because he was down there celebrating some of those interceptions, and he thought it was a penalty. I actually thought it was 2, probably. But no, they're not stopping you from doing that. You can run down and celebrate with your brothers. But if you're not dressed, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay. That shocked me, because I know I said, I know he didn't take a snap. How the heck is he on the field celebrating? But hey, that's how it is. Good for the No Fun League to change it.
Well, maybe he sees what he's missing out, because Forbes, they brought him in here to be a ball hawk, and he's got burned a couple times because he's playing for that pick instead of playing for that tackle. So maybe, hey, you know what you're missing. I guess there's that one song, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Well,
till it's gone.
It was gone for him last week in Atlanta. So let's see this week if he actually, makes good on what he missed out on. But for me, we got to be better on third down, man. We were 2 for 10 on third down last week. You cannot play like that against, yes, it's the Giants. Yes, they're 1-5, but you cannot play like that against a division. This game doesn't count for just 1. It counts for 1.5, if not 2. We're already down 0-1 the division.
We lost to Philly. Yep.
We can't go down 0-2 in the division. Odds are we're fighting for that last wild card spot. These NFC losses are going to stack up and they're going to hurt, right? That Bills loss sucks. To me, that's kind of a half a loss versus a full loss because it's an AFC loss. And yes, I'm talking playoffs. Realistically, that's too early for that. But if we all think this team has a chance to make a run down the road, these little things stack up and they matter. One of those Giants games last year would have got us in the playoffs.
Yep.
That Browns game last year, hey, Ron Rivera could have got us in the playoffs. So something, you have to win the winnable games. And this is a winnable game versus a beat up Giants team. Yes, it's up there, but they are beat up. Yes, they haven't scored a touchdown in 220 minutes. That tells you you've got to do something, man. You've got to win this game.
You keep throwing that stat up there, bro. Oh my
just because it's
gosh.
driving you crazy.
Yeah, my skin is crawling, dude. I'm telling you. Oh
Who
God.
is your don't sleep player of the game? Who can the Giants not sleep on this week with that new energy red berry shot?
I'm gonna say Two Hill. I'm gonna say give Two Hill a shot and let him eat.
You got
Don't
to call
sleep
him
on
by his
him.
proper name, man. It's Casey Two Sacks Two Hill, because that's
My
all the man
bad.
does when he steps out there.
Casey, 2 sacks, Two Hill. There you go. Don't sleep on that brother because he's coming in to lay wood, and he did. And he's gonna play his position. He's gonna read his keys, and he's gonna do what needs to be done. So don't sleep on him when he comes in. What you?
To me, I think it's Sam. I think Sam has heard all the talk
Mm,
that he is not learning and
okay.
has not improved on his timing in the pocket and the sacks and everything else. He had a 3 touchdown game last week. I'm not going to say a number. I don't want to jinx it, but I think Sam improves this week on his pocket presence.
Okay.
The Giants have 5 sacks total. He's been doubling the number each week. I think Sam does a better job this week in the pocket and gives himself a better chance to actually win this game and shut some of these people up because he is hearing the noise. They all are. It's all over Sports Center how he's about to break the record for sacks in the NFL. So I think Sam steps up and actually performs like he can and like you, I, and all the other Washington fans want him to perform because this is it's a going to New York. It's a dress rehearsal for the future, man. And the future is now.
Well, everybody feels that way. I mean, everyone says that this is the best quarterback that we've had since Kirk Cousins. So if that's the case, Kirk didn't take this many sacks. Kirk knew how to release the ball. He didn't scramble. He wasn't much on scrambling, but he knew how to get rid of the ball. And Sam just needs to take a note from Kirk Cousins, if you will, get rid of the ball.
Just
And
not too
that's
many
all.
notes.
Yeah, not too many. Not too many. We like what you're doing, but just get rid of the ball earlier. So,
But who do you take this week before we wrap it up? What's your
Who do I
prediction
take?
for the game?
Who do I take? Well, come on, the Commanders, of course. But I say it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 17-14 Commanders.
17-14 Commanders.
Yep.
I mean, that's right there with the spread pretty much. I'm feeling a little more bullish.
Ooh,
I'm thinking 28-10 Commanders this week.
Okay.
I'm thinking the guys step up and they build off of that win in Atlanta. And we get a chance to go 4-3, coming back to a sold-out FedEx Field, and hopefully put a stomping on those Eagles. As long as we don't get sabotaged by the refs.
As the Beastie Boys take us out with sabotage. Hey, I hear the music. You guys hear the music. And when that music is playing, to let you know that you have made it through another episode of the DMV Mess Hall. And we appreciate you riding with us. This will not be a sabotage week. On behalf of Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain, we're Sam. How?